All right, in this session we're going to go through the IMPAQ Plus. We're going to do an update of software and then a full review on all the settings. So go ahead, Brian.
All right, today we're going to update from version 3.0 to 3.4. The items you must have. You must have a 2-foot USB jumper or extension cable. You need to have a USB stick solely with the software on it. The hex file, and then version 3.4 for the IMPAQ and IMPAQ Plus. So you've updated before, but what you're going to do is plug your USB stick into the 2-foot cable, then plug your cable into the USB port. Make sure it's fully secure. My little USB has a light on. I can tell it has power. You're going to go into settings, so press and hold escape. It's going to get you into your main menu. For updating, you do not need to use your password. You can just scroll down to USB, press enter, update software. You're going to press enter again. Then it comes to press OK for 10 seconds. So you're going to press and hold the center button. The screen will change. Once you get a white screen, you're safe to let go. It will search for the correct file and is uploading that file. You will see your lights blinking, meaning it's taking that update. Flash complete means it's done. Once you are back to the countdown screen loading, you are safe to disconnect your USB stick and let it fully boot up. Once it's booted up, you are now going to run into and go through your program and settings.
3.4. There you go.
At the very top, you got P 3.4, so that means that took the update. If not, you would still see P 3.0, and you would have to run that process over again. So currently, a couple of things you want to check right from the very beginning. Double check your date and time in the lower right corner. We kind of mentioned it. You want to make sure it's version 3.4. Now you're really going to go into the programming and make sure this thing is set correctly. You don't want to do it before the update because there are things that you'll have to change anyway. So you might as well update first, then go through your program. All right, now that you've updated, you got to go in and check your settings. So you're going to press and hold escape. You're going to scroll over to password, and you're going to enter a password which is 0099. You're going to scroll down to settings, press enter, gets you into our settings. First one is charge. When you go into that, you have profile. You're going to set it up to what profile you are going to operate. When I say it, meaning you have ionic, you have gel block, VRLA, opportunity, and cold storage. For what we're doing today, we're going to want it to be ionic, and you see the asterisk next to the word. That means that is selected. If not, you're going to move to the appropriate one and press enter, and the asterisk moves, and that is now selected. The next one is auto start. What this is, it's on or off, and this is when you connect the battery, the charger will either start automatically or not start. If you select off and they plug in the battery, they will need to press the on-off button to get the charger to start. So in our case, we're going to want on, so it will automatically start. Charge delay. This is if you need a delay for any reason. It comes off, and you would set a value of how many hours, minutes you want to set up. In our display here, we're going to leave it as 0 and off. You have daily charge. This is if you want to bring the battery back to 100% for opportunity scenarios. For us, we're going to have it off in this case. If you do have it on, you're going to set your start and end times. Typically, you're going to have it around 10 o'clock p.m. to about 4 a.m. When the high-low is not in use. The next one down is blockout charge. This would be basically for customers who are worried about peak power demand. When you turn it on, you set your start and end time. So let's say you set it from noon to 1 o'clock. If the battery is charging and it reaches noon, the charger will shut off and then at 1 o'clock, the charger will turn back on. So it literally blocks out that section of time. Floating, we do not use this far as ionic or opportunity charge. So when you come in here, the first one, it's on or off. You're going to make sure that is off. Condition charge, what this is, you're going to leave it at 0%. But if you had a customer in an ionic scenario and you're trying to prevent opportunity charging, you would set a percentage there. So let's say 50%. Once you set 50%, the charger has to see a 50% discharged battery before the charger will turn on. So if they're trying to plug in at break and lunch, if you set this high enough, they'll plug it in, but the charger will not start. Battery rest is basically a countdown timer. Once the charger has completed its charge, if you set this for 1 hour, it'll basically have an hour countdown timer until it says it's available, ready to be taken. So in our scenario, we're going to leave it at 0. Refresh, either on or off. As in ionic, you would probably turn it on. If you're doing a opportunity scenario, you're going to leave it as off. Imax is the maximum output current that the charger can do. So if it's a HL, it would be 160 amps for 36 volts. If it's a JN, you could do up to 320 amps. We're going to go to battery now. Under battery, you have number of cells. Inside here, you can either pick a specific cell size, so like this, 18 cell, or at the very bottom, you can select auto. In this case, we're going to leave it as auto. Cap manual auto. What this is capacity is either manual or auto. If you set it to auto and it's in ionic, it will automatically determine the amp hour of the battery on its own. You need to do nothing. If you set it to manual like we have it with the asterisk, you have to physically make sure you set your correct amp hour of your battery. So in this case, we do have a 1,000 amp hour battery and my capacity is set for 1,000. If this was set incorrectly, you are going to improperly charge your battery. The next one is battery temperature. This is the average running temperature of the battery for the year. This is not ambient temperature of the building. Again, it's the average temperature, running temperature of the battery. So for ionic, this should roughly be set for 86 degrees. Cold storage, 50 degrees or less. VRLA, is 86 degrees. Opportunity should be 86 degrees as well. And then gel block, 86. So, but again, it's the average running temperature. So if you're in a hot warehouse, you're going to want to measure your battery running temperature and make the necessary adjustments. So, if it's 90 degrees in the building year-round constantly, your temperature should at least be 90 at a minimum, if not more. So in this case, we're going to make this 86 degrees. And then our high temperature, you can set that. This is 140 degrees. This is only used in combination with a YIQ. If you are not using a YIQ, this function doesn't come into play. The next one is cable size and length. Cable length. First option is 13 feet. That includes your charger cable and your battery cable, the total length. Obviously, the negative cable might be a little longer than the positive, but you're going to get the average total length. Then next is your cable size. In this case, we have 2-aught cable. So you see the asterisk for 2-aught. Next function is equalize. So for our 1,000 amp hour battery, our current should really be 45 amps, which is your finish rate of the battery. As you notice, this might be a little different than you're used to. The old versions, 3.0 and earlier, just said time, and you would set that for 6 hours. This current software, 3.4, you now have phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 should be 4 hours. Previously, this would have been time, and that would have been 6 hours. Okay? Phase 2, you want is 4 hours as well. So regardless if it's ionic, cold storage, opportunity, your phase 1 should be 4 hours, your phase 2 should be 4 hours. What it is, phase 1 is a 4.5% finish rate, standard finish rate for a battery for that duration of 4 hours. Phase 2 is 2.5% for an additional 4 hours. So now our equalize is a total of 8 hours on top of the charge to bring the battery to 100%. The next one is a delay. If you want to use a delay to equalize, you would put your hours in here. And then frequency is the day that you want it to occur. You can do multiple days, kind of pick and choose what you need to do, but it's set up per the customer's application. Typically, the best day is going to be Sunday. Idle. From the factory, idle is on. We need to turn this off. So when you turn it off, obviously the asterisk moves. The modules themselves will wake up and you'll see the lights start blinking on the modules. This is definitely necessary for opportunity scenarios because the charger, you have limited time. So you want the charger to wake up as fast as possible. So with the idle on, the modules are off. When you plug in the battery, the charger has to wake the modules up, start its process. So it's just time that you're taking away that the customer could be charging. So from the very beginning, you want to make sure idle is off. Next one is power supply. This is the voltage you're running to the charger. So it's 480 volt. Make sure the asterisk is next to that. Under options, this is new to 3.4. You have options test, you have electro valve time, and then you have PLC pulse. This last option must be on. If it is off, what will happen when you plug in a battery, the charger will not turn on. So you'd have to go back and redo your settings. So right from the get-go, make sure PLC pulse is on. Next one is COM IQ, on or off. This is your YIQ communications. If you're not running a YIQ, I would recommend turning it off. It will allow the charger to start up just a little bit faster. It will not look for a YIQ. With it on, when you plug in the battery, it will scan for a YIQ first to determine if there is one and then link with it if necessary. So this is going to be either on or off depending on what you're trying to do. Reset memo and status. This is basically under memos. You have your basically your data, your log of the charger, and then status is how many faults that have occurred and total faults. This basically resets all that to start fresh again. Network is if you're connecting the charger to a network, your appropriate settings, as far as JBus, LAN, BFM, your baud rate, and then your address. Your next one and last one is parameters. This is where you're going to double check your date and time. Obviously set that appropriately. Serial number of the charger. Language. Make sure it is in English for America. Region, Europe or US. So make sure US is selected. Display. This is going to be a newer one for most people. Probably don't realize this. You got a screensaver, which is on or off. That allows your screen here to go dark when it's not in use. Delay for how long? So this will be 15 minutes. The screen will go out. The last one is theme. We actually want this as theme B. So you're going to scroll down and select theme B. When you do this, it will bring you out to the very, very beginning. What theme B is, it will actually give you words on the display: charging, equalizing, charge paused. It gives better verbiage to see what's going on versus trying to look at numbers, voltages, and currents. So when you go through that, that is your appropriate way to make sure that charger is set up. From here, you're now safe to plug in your battery and charge as need.